In this video, I am going to do the world's hardest language test and show you just how easy it could be to pass any English exam, even if your level of English is really low. Every year, millions of people around the world sit down to do English language exams like IELTS, TOEFL, and the Duolingo English test. The results of these exams are accepted by governments and other institutions all over the world for official purposes, but only the very highest scores are actually useful. For that reason, students spend months to years and often a lot of money to prepare for these exams. And because of the cost, many people in developing countries only have one chance. It's make or break. But the difficulty of these exams is nothing compared to the exam that I am about to attempt. In fact, this exam makes all other language exams look like a party game for children. I am about to attempt last year's exam from the IOL. Every year, teams from around the world meet in a different country to participate in the International Linguistics Olympiad, or IOL. Participants compete in teams representing their countries, and their objective is to solve linguistics problems from different world languages. Right now, I'm going to attempt to solve the problems from 2023, so here we go. Okay, here are two different forms of some verbs. Here are some more verb forms in what's the translations I gave my canoe verb. You drank. Oh my god. Okay, so I've finished the test and I've checked my answers and I got 0% correct. So right now, I should feel pretty stupid. I mean, I teach languages as a job. I kind of consider myself a bit of a grammar nerd, and I speak two languages. And this is just impossible. To get a good score in this exam, it must take a language genius, someone with decades of experience in linguistics and world languages. So let's have a look at a photo of the person who has won this competition more than anyone else. That's right, he's just a kid. You see, there's a couple of important things that I haven't told you about the Linguistics Olympiad. Firstly, the Olympiad is only for high school students, no adults allowed. And secondly, the Olympiad requires no knowledge of linguistics or world languages at all. As they say on their website, do I need to know about linguistics in order to participate? No, not technically, but it's very useful. The problems are constructed in such a way that all you need to solve the problem is found in the text given to you. You don't need to know complicated linguistic jargon or terms. So every year there is a group of high school kids solving insanely difficult grammar problems without any linguistics training and without even knowing the languages used. This is evidence of a couple of things. Firstly, it is an example of a technique that you can use to learn some aspects of language. Let the example be the rule. When learning a language, sometimes just looking at a few examples can be a lot more efficient and effective than a direct explanation. Secondly, it's an example that all languages are made of patterns. If you can find the pattern and learn it, you can use that pattern to produce acceptable language. But finally, and most importantly, it reveals a fundamental problem with most language exams. The organizers of the Linguistics Olympiad work very hard to make sure that the languages in the contest are as rare as possible. So the participants in the Olympiad know absolutely nothing about the languages in the test. But within just a few hours, they are able to translate these languages and produce grammatically correct sentences. Because these types of exams test problem solving and logical thinking skills, not communication skills. This difference is vitally important for any language learner to understand. Every day, all over the world, learners put their faith in exams like IELTS, TOEFL, or the Duolingo English test to measure their language ability. For many people, these exams can influence the future of their lives because the results can allow them to migrate to another country or study at university or get their dream job. But these exams do not test language ability, they test exam ability. The result is that people who are excellent and confident communicators can get poor marks in these exams, and people who are unable to communicate at all are able to get high marks. As an example of how ridiculous these exams are, according to the latest IELTS exam results, guess who has the highest level of English proficiency in the world? No, it's not native speakers of English, it's Germans. A literal lifetime of communication experience is not enough for IELTS. I want to get more specific, so now it's time for me to test your English with a question from the sample exam on the IELTS website. In the reading section, there is a paragraph which contains this sentence. The batch number is printed on the bottom of each jar. Now you have to answer this question. Where can you find the batch number on the jars? According to the answer sheet, the only correct answer is on the bottom. Yes, that is the correct answer. It matches the information in the original sentence. But it's not the only correct answer. You could also say on the underside, underneath the jar, on the base, beneath the jar, or the lower surface. But all of these other answers would be marked as wrong. The design of exams like this means that they do not have the ability or resources to consider meaning or variation. They only consider mindless regurgitation. Just like the tests in the Linguistics Olympiad, they don't test communication skills, they test logic and memorization. But the real question here is, why should you care? What does it matter if these exams are not really accurate? There's a few reasons. The first reason is a simple one: fairness. If these exams are being used by millions of people to decide their futures, then they have a moral and social responsibility to be accurate. If they don't really measure language ability, then they shouldn't be used. The second reason is the problem of false expectations. Many learners expect that their exam score will accurately represent their language ability. But when they leave the controlled environment of the classroom, they discover that their high TOEFL score or their B2 certificate doesn't give them what they expected. In the real world, they suddenly discover they have serious problems communicating in situations that they thought would be easy. This can have a profound negative effect on their academic, professional, and personal lives. But the main reason you should care is that the whole language teaching industry is based on these exams. From teacher training to teaching materials to classroom activities, it is all influenced in some small or big way by these exams. And that influence shifts everything from communication skills to exam skills. In fact, you shouldn't just care about that, it should make you angry. Language is a tool for communication, and the result of any language learning should be the ability to communicate. Even if you are learning English because of necessity, not because of desire, the end result should always be authentically useful skills. It's incredible to me that many students will study English for years without ever actually using English. It's like learning piano, but you never see or touch a piano, or learning to dance without ever moving your body. It's a terrible symptom of a very sick industry. So, what can you do about it? Although I sometimes do live in a fantasy land, I'm mostly a realist. I know that these exams and the whole system that is built around them is not going to change anytime soon. But the system doesn't need to change. Only you need to change. You can vote for a revolution with your time, effort, and especially your money. If your teacher doesn't teach you how to communicate, demand change or find a different teacher. If your course, workbook, or app isn't giving you communication skills, stop giving it your time. If the exam doesn't measure anything useful, don't fund it with your hard-earned money. Now is the moment to ask yourself if you're getting what you really want from your language learning and demand better for yourself. Think about this. When people describe their language ability, they say that they speak the language. So, do you want to be an English speaker or an English exam expert? It's time to decide. I'm Christian. This is Kangaroo English, and I'll see you in class.